Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Woodpecker's Deep Dive. My name's Jeff Ferris. This is Adam Bajorian. Today, we're going to finish up our build on this patio side table. We just need to join the wedges together and then marry the legs to the tabletop. Adam, where are we going to start?
Well, Jeff, our goal throughout the project has been to share something that was completely scalable. Everything we've done so far can be applied to a table of almost any diameter and height. We're going to continue that theme with a simple way to calculate an octagon that will fit perfectly inside a square. Then we'll cut the octagon sections on the miter saw and cut grooves for splines with the joinery sled and the table saw. Then it's just watching you screw it up.
Don't you mean screwing it together?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Let's blast through the quickie math lesson first, and then we'll get to work. Remember in school when the instructions on the math test said, show your work? Well, we're not in school anymore. Here's the shortcut. If you're interested in the geometry involved in fitting an octagon inside a square, there are at least 24 YouTube videos that will explain it. But if you're like me and you're more interested in the fastest way to get the answer, just write this down in your woodworker's notebook. All the geometry and all the algebra boils down to multiplying the inside length of your square by 0.414. The result is the long point to long point measurement of our octagon frame pieces. So in the case of our table, 15.125 times 0.414 equals 6.261. Now we want that to actually fit inside the square. So we're going to round that down just a little bit to 6 1/4, and we'll cut 8 pieces that long. Now, let's drop them inside the legs and see how they fit. Yeah. That's just perfect. I've installed a 1/4-inch flat-top grooving blade in the table saw, and I have the fence on the joinery sled adjusted to set the miter cut flat on the table. The depth of cut is set to give me about a 3/8 of an inch deep slot. I've marked all the segments on one side, and I'll make a cut with that mark against the joinery sled table. Now I'll switch the angle and make the second cut on each segment. Again, I'm keeping that mark against the table. By indexing both cuts off the same side, I don't have to waste time making sure that cut is exactly centered. I cut the spline stock just a little long and did a quick dry fit. Everything looked good, so now we'll glue the splines in place. Now we want our band clamp to be pulling the joints together, not pushing on the splines. Adam came up with the bright idea of cutting some spacers that fit between the splines and were a little thicker than the extension of the splines. This worked perfectly, pulling the 22.5-degree miters into proper alignment. Now that the glue is dry, I'm going to trim the splines both inside and out using our new 3/16 of an inch diameter flush trim bit. Once the splines were trimmed down with the flush trim bit, I put it inside the leg. It was just a little too tight, so I took a few swipes with a block plane. If you don't have a block plane or you don't know how to use a block plane, you can do the same thing with a sanding block. Now, since we first dry assembled the table and taped up the spacers, it's always been right side up. But now it's time to add the octagon frame and the legs, which means we need it upside down. It only took a couple of seconds to give up on the idea of flipping it over with nothing more than an overgrown rubber band holding it together. We just double-checked that we liked the arrangement of the grain patterns, numbered them all, and then tore the whole thing down. While it was just a giant stack of wedges, we used an 1/8-inch roundover bit on all the edges. Then we reassembled it with the top face against the bench and the hub above. We sat the leg and apron assembly on top. I tweaked the position until I had it as perfectly centered as I could, and clamped it down so nothing could move while I screwed the wedges in the frame together. I drilled pilot holes in the octagon frame and the hub for a few screws in each wedge. Then I fastened them with exterior-grade construction screws. If you get the fit between the apron and the octagon just right, you might get away with just dropping it in place. If you do need to attach it, you can use commercial Z-clips, or you can make your own using ultra-shear countersink or counter bore bits and some small blocks. I've built a few outdoor tables, and I've looked at literally thousands of them on Pinterest and Google. I'm really glad that our taper sled inspired me to try something different with the top design, instead of the same old parallel slats. Cutting the wedges the way we showed you in episode 1 eliminates any concern about using more lumber than a more traditional top, and you end up with something that will make your friends and family swoon over your talents.
There we go, ready for some summertime lawn lounging. Or, as you can tell by the leaves that have been accumulating out here, enjoying some crisp fall afternoons.
We hope that you enjoyed this 4-episode series on building the radial sunshine table. I hope the scalable ideas that we presented here inspire you to get out in the shop and try something new. If you enjoyed the series, please let us know with comments down below, and tag us with pictures of your tables on Instagram and Facebook. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you always know when we have another great video coming out. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time on Woodpecker's Deep Dive.